Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to achieve a really nice and contrasted black and white image such as this one here on the right. So we aren't going to be editing this photo here that I'm showing you. I'm just using it as an example of what we are going to be doing today. So I just want to say before I start, what I do to these photos may not work for your photos. This is just kind of how I like to edit and what works for me. So if you end up doing this kind of technique that I'm showing you on your photos and it doesn't turn out exactly like how mine do, don't worry, just tweak it until it does look how you want it to. This is personal preference as well. I personally like it when my black and white images are quite contrasted, especially when they're minimalistic like this one. So I prefer when the background is quite bright and white and the subject is darker, like the hair and other features of the face are quite darker just so they stand out better from the white background. So that's what I wanted to mention really quickly. What I may do in this tutorial may not work for you, so just keep that in mind. So let's just get started. These are a bunch of self-portraits that I took the other day, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I've already edited this in Camera Raw, but I'm going to reset them just so I can show you what I've done. So because I've already edited these photos. So as you can see, the original photo, the exposure isn't bad, but I want it to be a lot brighter, so it will help us later on when we convert it into black and white and start tweaking it to get that really contrasted image that we want. So I usually just play around with the features here in Camera Raw until it looks like something that I actually like. So these are just guidelines. You don't have to follow this exactly. Do what works for your image. So without further ado, I'm just gonna start playing with these sliders here. So I'm obviously gonna bring the exposure up like that, bring our contrast up as well, bring up the highlights just so they're starting to get quite bright for us. Bring the shadows down just a little bit just so they are dark for us. Same with the whites, and the blacks are going to go down a little bit as well. And then the clarity, I don't know why this didn't reset, but I always like to bring the clarity up a little bit as well. And we are also going to white balance the image. So just a quick before and after. This was before, this was our straight out of the Camera Raw image, and then this is the after. We just brought up the whites a little bit and darkened the shadows. So now we are just going to open our image in Photoshop. Now I always like to duplicate my background layer. You should never really work on your locked background layer here, just in case you need to go back to the original image for some strange reason. Who knows, maybe you need to go back to the original. That's why I always like to duplicate the background layer and then start working and building up from this duplicated layer, just in case, because you never know if you want to go back to your original background image. So first thing we're going to do is add a curve, and this is just what I like to do to most of my photos to start. So I bring the middle point up a little bit, I bring the shadows down a little bit, and then I bring the highlights up a little bit as well. Like so. And again, you can tweak this to fit your photo. This is just what I have done to the image. And okay, so we just added a quick curve just to help brighten up the image and add more contrast, because that's what we're going for today. And there are just a few things here that I am going to clone out. I'm going to speed through it just so it doesn't bore you. All I'm going to do is take the clone stamp tool and clone out my bed that's in this frame here. So I'm going to quickly do that on a new layer, and then I will be right back. Okay, so we've just cloned out the bed here, and I'm just going to add a quick layer mask and then clean up the edges here that got a little bit messy on my sweater here. I also just want to mention that I am going to be using a bunch of keyboard shortcuts while I edit, because that's just how I work. So I will leave a link in the description below for you guys to check out the different keyboard shortcuts in Photoshop for Mac and for Windows. I'm using a Mac. And how to create your own keyboard shortcut, because I have created my own for adding layer masks because I use them so much. So yeah, we're just going to add a layer mask really quickly. Make sure you're not on your watermarked brush here. And then we are going to go, actually, yeah, like around 50% hardness. Make sure your layer mask is white if you have this problem, and then make sure you have a black color for your brush, and then we're just gonna go around the edges of my sweater here where my clone stamping spilled over and feathered over a little bit onto my sweater, and just clean it up a little like so. Okay, so that's done. We cloned out the side of my bed, and now we are going to move on. So we are going to come down here to a new adjustment layer, and we are going to do Selective Color, and we are going to go to our whites, and on the black slider here we're going to bring these like all the way up basically. And this just helps to brighten up our background so it's basically like really white. And if your skin tone is starting to look funky like mine is, we are going to, again, on this layer mask at like 50% opacity, just go over the skin and make it not look so crazy here, like so. So we're just really trying to make our background as white as possible and as bright as possible, so when we convert it to black and white, the contrast between like my dark hair and the white wall will be very prominent. But it doesn't really matter if it's not even. If that bothers you though, you can go ahead and either clone stamp like this darker areas, or even go in with the brush tool and fix up the darker areas in your image if you are really concerned about having an even background. But I'm not. I don't really care, right? But I don't really care for this particular set of images. So now we're just going to do a few cosmetic changes, I guess you could say. So I want to just even out my lip color a little bit because it is a little bit patchy, and it's going to look weird when we convert it to black and white. And we are also going to clone out all this hair on my face and also fix my skin a little bit because it's a little bit textured and bumpy, and we just want to make me look a little bit better than I actually look. So I will show you how to even out the lip color, and then I'm just going to speed through and clone out the hair and then fix the skin a little bit. So if you have an issue where your model or whoever it may be, yourself in this case, myself, if their lipstick or even their eyeshadow or anything is a little bit patchy, and you just want to even it out and even intensify the color a little bit, this is a really quick and effective way to help either intensify the makeup or help even out the makeup. So you're going to make a new layer and convert it to a soft light layer here, and with your brush tool selected on about 20% opacity, we are going to sample the lip color and then color over top of it like so. and this just helps to even out the lip color a little bit and also help intensify it. And you can do this for eyeshadow as well. Just select the color of eyeshadow with the eyedrop tool and paint over it at a low opacity, and then you can keep building it up with each click if you need to build up the color like I'm doing here. So like the middle of the lips are pretty colored, but sometimes the corners or the outer portion of the lips aren't as intense as the rest of them, so that's when you can just pass over it a few times to help get that color nice and rich and like blend in with the rest of the lips. So it looks a little crazy here, but once again we are making it black and white, so it doesn't really matter. So that's just the before and the after. It just helps even out the lip color. Actually, I'm going to turn the opacity of this layer down just a little bit. Perfect. Now I am just going to make a new layer again, and feel free to start naming these layers. I just don't really care right now. Usually I will name my layers, so for example the lip layer I just made, I would name it like even out lips, and then for this new layer I would name it like clone out hair. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to clone out the hair, and then I'm going to make a new layer and start cleaning up my skin a little bit. So I'm going to speed through this and be right back. Okay, so I just finished cloning out the hair and fixing up the skin a little bit, so I will just show you a quick before and after here. So that's before, and this is after I cloned out the hair, and then this is after I fixed up the skin and kind of evened out the skin tone a little bit. So now we are going to have some fun. Now, when I first edited this particular photo, I didn't make it black and white. I did this to it instead. So you can skip this step if your photo doesn't need it, but when I did this and then when I added the black and white adjustment layer on top of it, I thought it looked really nice. So you can either do this step or skip it, it's up to you. We are going to go down to a new adjustment layer here and go to gradient map, and we are going to make sure our layer is on I believe a soft light layer. And then we are going to click on the gradient here and change these colors. This color is going to be CE8 E13, and this one is going to be 621 EA8. So we have a orange to purple gradient. Make sure you're on a soft light layer here and lower the opacity. Actually, let's see the overlay layer. I believe it was an overlay layer, but again, you don't have to do this step. So when I first edited this image, it looked a little something like this, I believe. It's a little different than when I first edited it, to be honest. So yes, that's what it looked like. So now we are going to intensify the eyes a little bit. So I like to zoom in to see what the eyes are going to look like. And we're going to go to a curve and brighten and add contrast to the eyes a little bit here. It doesn't matter what the skin looks like, we're just gonna focus on the eyes right now. Like that, and then we're going to do Command I to invert that layer mask, and then on our brush tool at 100% opacity, we are going to make it white colored here, and then just paint over the eyes. And this is just going to intensify them a little bit. I know it's gonna look weird, but trust me, it'll be fine because we're making them black and white. So now we're going to go to a new adjustment layer and black and white. And this is where you can have total control over how much contrast you want to add to the image and stuff like that. So we are going to take the red slider and bring it down. Basically, we just want to darken the hair because this is obviously affecting the hair, the lips, and the sweater. So we're going to bring it down to -19. And the yellows we're going to bring up to 109. And this brightens up the skin and the face a little bit. And then the magentas we're going to bring down to -38. And that affects our lip color. Now if you have other colors in your image like blues, cyans, greens, feel free to play around with those, but because my image is very minimal and it doesn't really have many colors in it, those are the 3 sliders that I have decided to affect. So that's that for the black and white. And now we're going to add another adjustment layer under Selective Color here, and then we're going to play with the whites, neutrals, and blacks. Whites, we're going to bring down to -89. Neutrals, we're going to do -18 or so. And then blacks, we're going to darken those and do +8. So that's just added more contrast to the image. We've made the whites a lot more bright and the darks a lot more dark. Now I'm going to go back in and edit the skin a little bit, because when you add black and white layers, sometimes you can see imperfections and texture on the skin a little bit more. So I'm just going to quickly go in and fix the skin up a little bit again, just to get rid of some of the texture here. Okay, so we fixed the skin up a little bit again. And we are almost done, guys. So I just want to kind of add a little bit more contrast to the eye area, as well as kind of brighten up the under eye here because it is a little dark, with some non-destructive dodging and burning. So we are going to make a new layer and change it to soft light. And with the brush tool, make sure your colors are black and white. So if they are not black and white here, just press D on your keypad and that'll change them back to black and white. And with a soft brush at 0% hardness, and with a 20% opacity, you can go over and darken and lighten certain parts of your image that you want to dodge and burn. So I like to do the perimeter of the eyes, specifically where eyeshadow may be, or eyelashes, or eyeliner, and this just really makes the eyes kind of pop out a little bit more. I like to darken the pupils a little bit, and then switching to white, I like to just brighten up the whites just a smidge. And sometimes if the lips aren't as dark as I want them to, I will go over those. And on 10% opacity, I like to go kind of over the contours of the face to help add more contrast there, just very lightly. And then to brighten up the under eye there, I'm switching over to a white color again at around 20% opacity, and then just passing the brush under the eye a few times just to help brighten it up, like so. So this is our before and our after of dodging and burning. As you can tell, it really makes the eyes pop, and it also helps to brighten up the under eye, add a little more definition to the face. So the last step we are going to do is make a new layer. Go over to our Sharpen tool here, maybe under the blur tool. So if you see this raindrop, you can just click and hold and go down to the Sharpen tool. I leave mine at 50%, and I just like to click on the main parts of the face a couple times. So I specifically do the eyes, sometimes the mouth, and then sometimes the nose and the rest of the face. And that just helps sharpen the image. And we are all done, guys. So this is how you create a contrasted black and white image. I hope this tutorial helped you guys out. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any editing requests, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will try to get to them as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something, or I hope this tutorial helped someone out there. And I would love to see your photos, so feel free to tag me on Instagram. My @ is just my name, Maddie Fava. I will leave a link in the description and also leave it on the screen somewhere. Feel free to follow me there to keep up with my photography. So have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Bye!